Hey, Goat Knucklers, Happy New Year. It's Flo, and welcome back to Go Knuckle Talk with Show and to our very first show in 2025. But before I introduce you to my co host and our guest, that's pretty sweet. I like that, Bill. Damn.
I don't know how I did that.
Well, you need to be our IT guy. But anyway, before we do that, when you watch the videos on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to that button. um, Also, like the video and make a comment. So, let me introduce you to Plainview's Bad Mama Jamma, Lisa Nolan Hafner. Hey, Lisa, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How
And
many articles of clothing do you have on,
I have
Joey
I have
Tribbiani?
three layers of wool on. And four if I want to, do my little hoodie here. I can't handle the cold. I cannot handle the cold. I'm such a wimp. Such a wimp. Anyway, Happy New Year, everyone. We're so glad to be back and starting the new year right with our dear friend, Mr. Elvis, Mr. Bill Harris, class of 81, in the house again. Thank you so much for agreeing to just have a one-on-one conversation with us. We're so excited that you're here and that you've agreed to come back on the show.
And you, as you're the person of Elvis, happy birthday.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
So I did mention Bill graduated at 81. So can you tell our viewers again where you live, Bill?
Where I currently live?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I right now I live in Round Rock. It's north of Austin. And my wife and I have lived here 27 years, raised our kids here, and we're empty nesters and just enjoying retirement life. I'm semi-retired, I guess, but having a good time here in Round Rock and traveling and doing different things. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. We didn't ask you in the last show, so this isn't part of the questions we were going to ask, but just for my curiosity, how many kids do you have? How old are they, and where do they live?
I have two children. They both were born in December. My daughter's 27 and she lives in Carrollton. She loves animals and she's working at a place called Operation Kindness. And
Operation Kindness.
Yeah, it's a really nice place. And then my son is in Atlanta and he's going to Georgia Tech. He's getting his PhD in engineering. And
Wow.
so he stays pretty busy. And so we saw them both during the holidays. It's like, seeing your kids, you say, wow, then they're gone. They were here quick and they're gone fast. And you're just so happy to see them when they come home.
Yeah, you're like want to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, oh, I'll miss them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your grandpa yet?
I can't rush them on that. No, we're not yet. I was like, they both have relationships but I don't rush them. If I was going to, I'd say, come on, man, I'm not getting any younger. I'm ready to be a granddad. Yeah. But not any yet, but we're hoping.
It'll change your life in ways that you cannot possibly imagine.
Yes, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have? Grandchildren?
I have step grandchildren, but I was there for their birth, and it's a love that surpasses anything imaginable. Because it's your baby having a baby.
Yeah.
It's just there are no words to describe that. It's like double the love. It's so intense.
And you don't have to raise them.
That's right.
You can spoil them and give them back.
Exactly.
Exactly right. So, Bill, remind us again why and how you became an Elvis impersonator.
Okay, yeah, and again, I thank y'all for having me on the show. And it is January 8th. This is Elvis's birthday. He would have been 90 today, and so
wow.
it's a big deal. And for Elvis fans and Elvis impersonators, and also you can call me an Elvis impersonator or an Elvis tribute artist. Elvis impersonator is really trying to emulate Elvis in every aspect, whereas a tribute artist is playing the music and simulates him a little bit. I call myself a tribute artist just to give myself a pass on not sounding just like Elvis or looking just like Elvis. So I go, all right. I call my I'm a kind of second glass of wine Elvis. After you have the second glass of wine, I really start to look like Elvis and sound
Nice.
like Elvis. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a long story at it. And again, cut me off if I go in a rabbit chase. But
thank you for that clarification of differentiating the two, because I think that it helps us and helps our viewers know, the difference between an impersonator and a tribute artist. Yeah. I mean, because the spirit of Elvis and his music is still there as a tribute artist. You don't have to emulate him 100%.
Yeah, and that's and so as I again talking about becoming an Elvis, but I wasn't, I wasn't in school. I mean, I knew about Elvis. I saw his movies. I think one time his helicopter flew from Amarillo to Lubbock, and I think we all lined up on the highway. So there he goes. There goes Elvis down Highway 87 in his helicopter. That's the story I remember when I was a kid. I guess I was in 75 or 76 and something like that before he died. And so, but I wasn't a huge Elvis fan. Everybody goes, do you remember what happened when Elvis died? And I was trying to think. I go back. I can't remember. I know I was in seventh or eighth grade. And it was right before. It was August 16th before. But I can't. I remember where I was when John Lennon died, and because I was a big Beatles fan, but I wasn't, just infatuated with Elvis. Besides, like everybody else, I mean, he was big movie star and stuff like that. And so I didn't. I mean, I talked to a lot of people, and they said, their dream was to become an Elvis impersonator. Well, it never really was mine. I mean, I did enjoy music, obviously, and but around 40, I was, teaching, and I going through a lot of life transitions. My mom had passed away, and so I had been taking care of her, and I just started joined a group of guys, and we started playing music, like in a duet. And then we created a trio, and then we created a band. And we did a band. I was in a band called the Copycats for about 13 years, and so we did cover music, and we played around Austin. It was a lot of fun. And while we're in the band, the wife of the guitar player that I still play with today in another band, she was always like, "Do Elvis." She was a big Elvis fan, and we were like, "No, man, we want to do some classic rock, and try to AC/DC, things like that." The music that I kind of grew up with, because I think most people we remember the music from when we were 12 to 18. Those at least for me. I mean, I like all types of music. I play it, a DJ, but the 70s, in the 70s, early 80s, and then I love the 60s too, were really the music that I listened to. And so we started to do a couple of songs. We did Jailhouse Rock, and we did a little live version of it. And I got some glasses, some sideburns, and we always got such a good response about it. And so I was like, all right. So I started looking into it. I was like, well, this Elvis thing. And so I said, I got a book on Elvis impersonators. I watched some video on Elvis impersonators, and it just seemed really bizarre to me. And I said, anybody would want to do that. And I'd never seen an Elvis impersonator. And so they have in Austin area, they had Chewy's. Chewy's is a restaurant. They have them in Houston too, right? And
Dallas too.
Yeah, and so so I thought I want to go out. I mean, we were doing a couple of Elvis songs, but I went out and around just a few miles from our house, there was a Chewy's, and there was an Elvis impersonator. And so I went and watched this guy, and he was, is Victor Salamine. He was the granddaddy. He'd been doing it for 25 years. And so I watched him, and I was like, okay, this is, and so from there, I eventually got a suit, because I had some cheaper suits, that I just bought at Lucy in Disguise. But, I read the book. It says, you got to get a real suit. And that will make the difference. Everything else, once you put that suit on, I was like, oh, okay. And so and so it was a splurge for me. We were raising kids still at that time. And so I bought a $1,000 suit, $200 belt, a couple $100 shoes, and jet blacked my hair. And I just started picking up gigs. And really when I started doing a lot was the Chewy's thing. The Chewy's kind of opened up, like, okay. And because people came out, it was a show, and it was a big deal. Every Chewy's had an Elvis impersonator. And then they stopped doing it probably just during the pandemic. And I did it for 10 years. And it was always a lot of fun. And then it just kind of grew. that I would go and play restaurants, clubs, retirement homes, private parties, stuff like that. And I was still doing the band. We were still playing that, and I was still working. I was doing a lot of things. I can't believe all that I was doing. It's like so busy. And but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And wrapping it up, probably when I retired from teaching about 7 years ago, then part of it was like I was making enough money to supplement my pension, and I said I can retire from teaching and just do this on the side. And I'm doing, you know, I mean, sometimes 100 events a year, so 10 to 12 a month on average. And this month I have like 15 because it's Elvis month, and they're not all Elvis gigs, because I also have incorporated, a lot of times the clubs want you to come in, if you do a club, and say we want you to play for 3 hours, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to listen to I don't want to listen to 3 hours of Elvis. I can't imagine anybody else does. So I created, I started looking at other niches, and so like Neil Diamond, and then just taking some of the classic rocks songs and being a one-man show, and it was like in kind of Las Vegas, and it fit in certain settings, and it did another. But that from there, and now the things that I did, Elvis kind of was always the most popular, and so it seems like I've just, you know, the fastest horse is the Elvis horse, and right now I'm doing majority Elvis gigs, you know, and I'm like, okay, it pays pretty well, and that really is what guided me into becoming. I mean, I was a teacher and just looking. I mean, the thing we started doing the band for fun. Then we go, hey, well, maybe we can make some money on this, and then we go, it's hard to make money as a band because you divided it up in 5 ways, and there's just set up. When I did it one person, then I was like, wow, man, I'm making more money in an hour than I make teaching in a day. And so it was like, for me, there's a little motivation. It wasn't, I mean, it was chump change, obviously, but it was enough for me to go, I'll go out and do this. I want to figure out how to do this. And I've gotten better at it as the years go by, you know, as I can sing okay, and I emulate him better. And I just have a good time. If you get the right crowd and you're playing the right music, people are going to love it, you know. And then you put the white jumpsuit on, and you put the glasses and your dark hair. I mean, the Elvis, I mean, I don't want to call them Elvis wackos, but the Elvis wackos come out of the woodwork. So, and it is a phenomenon of the Elvis thing that I didn't grow up with. My mom didn't like Elvis, you know, kind of, she's like, she didn't like the Beatles either. My parents were a little older. I think they had me when I was about 40. They were more into Glenn Miller and Pat Boone kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
they were like, nah, I mean, they weren't against Elvis, but they were just like, that wasn't, they were a different generation, you know. I do
find it interesting that in that same era, you know, there was Elvis, there was Neil Diamond, there was Engelbert Humperdinck, and Tom Jones. Those like 4 crooners, you know, of that style of, you know, I don't even know what their genre of music, pop rock, you know.
But Neil didn't move much. Neil, and then Tom Jones, I think, tried to emulate Elvis. You know what I mean? He wasn't a good dancer as he was Elvis. If you look at some of the videos.
Go to town. I can send you a video of Tom Jones, and
I've seen the man. And I think he's just trying so hard to copy Elvis, because Elvis started in the 50s, correct?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But I mean, Elvis, in terms of superstardom, I mean, none of those 3 compare to Elvis.
Plus, Tom's an English guy, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he's
he's across the pond. Who cares?
He's Welsh.
So, being Elvis started around the 50s and was popular in the 60s and 70s, and as you mentioned, he died in August, I think, of 77. Do you think eventually, when the generation of our parents and us were gone, do you think it's gonna die any, or you think it's just gonna go strong for a very long time with the new generations to come?
You know, I think it's I think it's going to continue because it's so recognizable, and of course they continue, you know, the Elvis Foundation, you know. Priscilla, of course, will be passing on. I mean, sadly, Lisa Marie, and there was addiction in the family. They've had tragedy in the family, and but there's still the Elvis Presley. They're going to promote it. Like the movie came out, just that last one, it was, and that just, they're going to continue to resurrect Elvis, and he's so recognizable. It's like you go, I mean, I think that's one of the differences that you go, like Tom Jones, if you dress like Tom Jones, I mean, you ought to get an afro kind of thing, curly hair, he's, and my mom, funny, my mom, I said she didn't like Elvis, but she liked Tom Jones and Engelbert. If you watch them, they are so raunchy. It's not even, when I was like, Mom, what are you doing? How can you say Elvis is bad, man? But whatever. And but I think it will continue. I just think because they'll promote it, and again, his face is recognizable. Funny story, when I was, my kids were young, when we started, I was doing Elvis, and I just had started it, and of course my kids were watching, and I did some things at their school events, and they got good reactions. Okay, that's cool, Dad's doing that. I thought I was going to be embarrassed, and so we were looking at like a picture that had this silhouette thing. I mean, you look at it, you stare at it, you see something on it, what I'm talking about. And so my wife said, "Oh, okay, I see it," and she said, "Well," and it was you're supposed to see Jesus, and so I saw it. I mean, my wife saw it, and then my daughter gets on there, and she's around 5 or 6 or something like that, and she goes, "Oh, I see Elvis with a beard." So I was like, man, I said, we haven't been to church in a while, man.
Funny. Oh my God.
That is very funny.
But I think it'll be a phenom. I don't think it's going away for a while, because it's so recognizable. The white suit. I mean, they have these festivals where, I mean, I've never done a competition. I don't think I probably wouldn't win. There's some guys that are just, that are great. I'm good. I don't say that I'm not going to knock myself. I'm very good at what I do, but there's some guys that are, to the top level, and that's all they do, kind of thing. And they're still traveling around, packing places, and
wow.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
Now there's a big Elvis
mentioned.
At Las Vegas. Is it Las Vegas?
Well, they have the tribute, Elvis tribute artist. It's a big deal. Those guys in Memphis on this week. And so they bring these guys in, and if they win the contest, they get a booking agent that will book them around the country, and they get a band and all that. And so I've done well, but I've had bands. I am doing it to generate some income. And so bands, if you add 5, 6 members to the band, it's harder to get a gig than to go to do a private party for small setting, small setup. So it's become for me the small setting, and make pretty good money for one person. If you start adding people, you get more mouths to feed, the check gets smaller. So I figured out how to do it. And my wife has been helping me. I have 7 retirement homes. I do luxury retirement homes mostly, and I price myself. I figure if they're hiring me too much, then my price is too low. So but the thing is, people say, "Hey, you should go to Las Vegas," and I go, "Why?" I mean, there's 100 Elvis impersonators all on the street, and in this area, there's not very many in the Austin area, and so you got 2 million plus people, and so there's always, besides the retirement homes, then there's people who say, "Hey, I want somebody to come." Somebody's got a mother that's 80 years old, 70 years old, 65. There's always somebody having a party, and sometimes they don't know what to do. Well, let's get an Elvis impersonator. Sometimes the person loves Elvis. Usually the 80 plus crowd, because if you go, I go back like 84, I think 85. What is that? 70 years ago or something like that. So the 13-year-old girls would be 83 right now, and they're still very excited about Elvis. And I know you asked how do they receive me in assisted living. It's just, I mean, it's a warm crowd, for the most part. And you just walk in, and they're just like, "There's hey, Elvis," they're just like, "So I went to, I was in Germany with Elvis," and then they all have stories, and then I just do the show. And I think because I may not look just like Elvis, but I have the voice is nice. So it's entertaining. I can hit the high note, just like Elvis did. And there we go. Oh my God, this guy can actually sing and wear the white suit. But sometimes, because I do hear a lot of some Elvis is going, well, he looks like Elvis, but he doesn't doesn't, he not only doesn't sound like Elvis, he doesn't sound very good. So I've listened to a lot, and there's some really great ones too. I don't want to knock any Elvis.
Yeah.
So I
So
want
I
to
need.
ask a crass question. Have any old ladies thrown their underpants at you?
Well, I've had some be pretty aggressive, kind of thing. It's like, I mean, usually it's like, it's
I
like,
mean, tell us specifically.
well, like one lady, and she was kind of out of it. She came and she like grabbed my hand and put it right on her breast. I'm going, oh, the family. She was a little bit out of it, but a lot of ladies. I mean, funny story. And this, I was at a place, and it was, I'd done the show, and the ladies were walking up with their walkers, and this lady comes up to me. She goes, "Did Mary tell you what she thinks about the Elvis impersonator?" I go, "No, I didn't know that." And so, oh, she goes, "Here comes Mary now. Mary, did you tell him?" And Mary starts, and Mary starts scooting off her walker, like she didn't want to talk to me. She goes, "Well, Mary told me that she's aroused when the Elvis impersonators come." And I said, "Oh, I'm glad to know that." So I don't know what's going on out there, but they are having some fun. I haven't got goosed yet, I mean, but they like to, I hug a lot of little old ladies, just and it is a lot of fun. It is a riot, they're just, especially when they just get excited about Elvis. I mean, so I did 2 yesterday, 2 today. I canceled 2 I had tomorrow, 2 gigs I had tomorrow because of the weather. It was just like, I'm going to reschedule, and they're not going anywhere. I mean, that's the thing is you show up, they would all be there, but I was like, I got to go down South Austin. It's going to be raining, freezing. I'm going to be stuck.
Yeah.
I canceled 2 of them tomorrow and just rescheduled them for next week.
Well, I'm sure one of the ladies would let you stay.
Yeah.
They probably would let
Yeah.
me stay.
Any local like celebrities, local, not really like movie stars, but like I don't know, news people, or hire you?
Yeah, I mean, I not really movie. I mean, I got hired one time for I mean, Lieutenant Dan Patrick, whatever, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. I did his mother's 80th, but he wanted Elvis and Engelbert. His mom was a big Engelbert fan. He said, "Hey man, I'll pay this. Come to Houston." And so not that he was famous. And I did her 80th and I did her 90th. So I know him. I know.
Wow.
People may not like his politics. He was a senator. He's a lieutenant governor. And so, but I haven't really, if I've done any movie stars, I mean, like, have I seen them or have I done shows?
No, like they've hired you. I mean, not just movie stars, but local. I don't know, like a newscaster, like they're local, like a news person, like just invited you to come to their home or their party. Just anything local besides.
Well, I did. I have done the mayor of Round Rock. He's not the mayor.
There you go. Yeah.
I did his party and his wife, and they used to come out when I'd play at the Brass Tap downtown. I did that for, I don't know, 5 years. I did the Brass Tap like once a month. It was a nice bar right across from Round Rock, and so so I did that for years. And then he had me at his house, and he said, "You don't mind animals?" And so he had all these. He's a big hunter all around the road. The thing had a bear. He walked in. I said, "No, I don't care." And so, but I've done the cities. I do play like in Georgetown. I've done the music on the Main, which pretty much, it's really cool. They do it right on the courtyard at the courthouse, and I've done that. I was doing that, and it's just fun. There are 200 or 300 people are out there right on the court. It's a really beautiful area in Georgetown. And then in Round Rock, also they've hired me over the last few years. Just I do a Christmas show and down on the streets in Round Rock. And I mean, Bob FM, 103 Bob FM, they hired me to, which was unusual. Saxon Pub is a pretty popular original bar, and the Bob FM, which Bob will play in it. I don't know if y'all have that there, but it's a radio station. They hired me to go into the Saxon Pub to do Elvis Christmas, kind of thing, which is kind of cool because they didn't have it. And then they also had me do a Neil Diamond show. And so I get around, but it's kind of, I really, right off the top of my, if I met somebody, I would remember. So
Yeah. Well,
I've played for a lot of famous people.
there
I
when
know
you
they
when you
might have been
perform,
famous. What?
yeah, when you're performing there in Austin, have you seen any Plainview people in the audience?
Yeah, one time, well, actually, who is it? Is it Greg Broussard? Out of the blue, which I haven't. Greg Broussard was a skater, and he was with his wife there. I was playing at this restaurant and club El Mercado, and I was doing the Doors thing, and I said, "Hey, man," and we started talking, and we went over, Greg Broussard, who people I've got in contact with. I Andy Berry has come out and seen me a few times. I'm trying to think. Jerry Stair came out one time. He passed away a few years ago.
Right.
I'm trying to think. I know I'll think of some other ones because I do see Blaney people around it. Oh, I know who it was. Susan Morgan works for she's the CEO of the city of Round Rock. And I was like, Susan, she goes, oh my God. And she was at the mayor's party. Susan, I don't know if y'all know Susan Morgan, but we were on the tennis team together. So I saw her like, oh my God, you're famous. I go, I'm not famous. But I'm even a guy. I was at a bar, I was playing, and this guy said, oh my God, you're doing Elvis, and now you're doing playing a Rolling Stones band. And he goes, you're like a celebrity. I don't really know anybody. I go, you're like as big as Del Watson. And I go, Del Watson is a local guy, and he does country music. So you don't know who he is, but he's a local celebrity. So I go, okay, I don't think I'm as big as he is, but yeah. So it is funny because just because I'm around here, I've done people's weddings. I've done, I'm trying to think of somebody from Plainview. I know I talked to a lot of, but it's kind of, you walk around, oh, I know you. And then I got the hair. So everybody go, hey, Elvis, I remember you. I remember people. It's pretty much a regular thing in the Round Rock, Georgetown area. Is always running into somebody who goes, oh my God, yeah, they know you. And they're like, oh, I know you. I was like, yeah, and I don't know where I know them from. Do I know you from teaching? Do I know you from, I know you from playing tennis? I don't know where I'm at. And they go, okay. And so, yeah, I have met people from Plainview. I tried to think of them off. I'm gonna try to get some more of them that came to mind.
When you're setting, so what kind of a sound system? Obviously, you have a microphone, but like, what kind of equipment do you take with you, and who helps you set it up and all that?
Well, in a retirement home, it's pretty simple. I just bring one speaker, a mixer, and my wife kind of helps me set it up, get in and out, and she takes pictures and videos. If I'm doing a larger show, I may have someone do sound, and then I'll have two speakers, a couple of subs. I have all the equipment because I have DJ also, so I DJ occasionally, and so it's a pretty simple system because really all I'm mixing is because I'm using tracks, and so I'm not using a full background band. So all I got to really do is mix my voice and the track, and so I create a show. And I get the song set up. I sing the home runs. I'll mix in a few if there's special requests and stuff like that. But the home runs, you can't lose with the, Jailhouse Rock, Blue Suede Shoes. And somebody said, well, you sing the same songs, you get bored of it. I go, it's really the reaction of the crowd. If you get the right reaction from the crowd, it gives you energy, at least for me, and so even when I'm tired, I kind of get energy. It's like I walk up, like, I don't know if I can do this. And then I walk up and the music starts and I go, I just go into mode. it's kind of, I just enjoy doing it. It's just an energy thing. And I did, we were talking, we weren't going to bring up cancer. I've been sick, I got diagnosed with cancer a couple of years ago. And I thought I had 3 months to live. They told me it was the pancreatic cancer. And so I've been fortunate that I really haven't had any major side effects, but they tell me that you got cancer and it's growing inside your body. And so I didn't know what I was going to be able to do. And so I never stopped. And so from 2 years ago, and it's the same thing. I go, I got energy and just performing. But last summer I was getting in the heat. It was starting to get to me. And so I kind of canceled some shows. They're outdoor shows because you're playing in 100-degree heat and you're sweating and stuff like that. And I was like, man,
that uniform, I mean, that outfit.
Yeah, and then you're wearing an insulated. Yeah, it's an insulated suit. I'm walking out. If I play outside, I played city of Round Rock outside. It was like 47 degrees, but I was like, I don't know how everybody else was, but I was feeling great,
Speaking of your suit, I mean, like, do you have, obviously you have more than one suit. You've got more, do you have this stuff custom made now?
Yes, I do. I buy them online. There's it's pro Elvis jumpsuits.com. So they give them a plug, and and the suits are generally, it matters how ornate. You get a basic suit is around 1,000, and you got to get a belt, and then the more ornate ones are around 2,000. So I have some ornate ones, a couple of them. I have 5 suits, and I have one that I've retired. The first one I bought, and it's still in good condition. It needs to be refurbished, but I have 5 other ones. I have the fringe, I have King of Spades. I have the other one that I forget the other 2 what they're called. The fringe one is really nice, and so I have 5 of them, and so I'll switch them on and off. The more ornate they are, they also take more care. And so, and people say, well, it's like, and so it's an expense, but they paid for themselves, and it's fun. And so I'm thinking about getting another one this year. I was thinking, should I get the ornate one? I would like to get the American flag that Elvis wore on in Hawaii. That one's, it's the American flag, or yeah. And I was like, I'd like to get that, but it's a little pricey. So I was like, maybe I could just get, and people, I don't know, nobody's ever said, I wish you would wear that one. I mean, it's just kind of I wear a white basic one with some, ornate on it. And I have a cape, but I don't use it that much, kind of, I bring it out as a prop, and I put it on and just throw it over, and they're kind of pricey too. They're $300 or $400 for something you don't use that much.
So do you work out, or because you have so many gigs a month that you don't have to?
I try to, it's not enough, as I get older, I mean, it's like, especially I've been going through the treatment, I've been losing weight and losing muscle. So I've been also going to physical therapy. And then today I went to the gym. I try to go 3 or 4 times if as long as I'm feeling well. I try to work out, because they say when you hit your 60s, you start losing muscle, and even all that I'm going through. So I definitely work out. I'm certainly not going to be a bodybuilder, but I know that I try to walk 3 to 5 miles every 3 or 4 times a week, and then do light weights, stuff like that, because just to keep some muscle. I mean, strengthening exercise. I'm not trying to be Charles Atlas or anything like that, I'm just trying to just stay conditioned. But yeah, the shows do take a lot but it's an hour, and I can do the show standing on my head with cancer, kind of.
Wow, Charles Atlas, you just dated yourself.
I know, man. I did order. I ordered that when I was a kid. I ordered, Dad, I want to get this. I ordered that thing. The guy kicks sand in the face, and I had those. I was doing those exercises. I don't know. I never got big, but I sure wanted to.
My inspiration was Jack LaLanne.
Yeah.
I'm in the fitness industry because of Jack LaLanne.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, I get it. And you're right. When we, the older you get, the quicker you atrophy.
Yeah.
And it takes more effort, not only to build muscle, but to sustain that muscle. But, there's a lot of research that shows that having muscle mass helps you into longevity. You don't want to be frail, and especially, going through cancer treatment. You want to be as strong as you possibly are capable of being.
And that's what I know to work out, because you don't know if you get sick. You have, it's kind of, you've done some work so you can have recovery time better, and so that's what I'm doing. I've been very fortunate. I don't mind talking. I talk about the cancer. I like I said, I've created a pod. It's not a podcast. It's
A blog?
Blog. I do a blog on Facebook. Maybe I'll read it, but
Yeah.
I just kind of, people wanted to be updated on what I was doing. So I just thought, I created Living with Elvis's Cancer. And I was like, wow, does anybody really want to read this? And so people are reading, and it's encouraging thing. And I talk about being Elvis. I talk about Elvis with cancer. I talk about, my shows and endurance, the things that I do. And I guess it's also advertised. I go, I'm still here.
Yeah. I mean, bravo to you, Bill. Seriously, bravo that you're talking about what you're going through, because there's some classmates that have passed away from cancer, but
Oh,
you
no.
don't find out that they had cancer
No.
until they pass away.
I know.
And it's like, oh wow, they died and they had cancer, but you're you're letting everyone know, letting everyone know. So
I don't know.
kudos.
I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or whatever, but it's working for me. And I know people like to be. My wife is very private, and she's like, I don't. And so I've always been kind of like, share what's going on with me, the good or the bad kind of thing. And it sometimes it works. Sometimes it's been a positive thing, because like you're saying, people, when you don't know, and it's kind of a shock, when you see classmates and younger than me, older than me, and you go, where are they, man? And so I know a lot of people don't like Facebook and social media, but for me, it's a connection. I mean, that's how we've got connected. That's how, I've met new people and connected with old people. I've made connection with so many friends from Plainview, from high school, renewed friendships, renewed broken friendships. I've had and the cancer thing too is kind of, you look for a silver lining. I don't know what that was. That's probably a friend texting me right now. I know. Let me turn that off.
It's about one of those women from the old folks home. The lady that's got aroused.
Yeah. Well, Bill, as a cancer survivor myself, I'm going to tell you, I really am inspired by your blogs on Facebook, because it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability. I love your vulnerability, and props to you as a guy, because most men are not vulnerable and not as articulate in being able to express their emotions and the experience in real time of what they're going through. And typically women are very open and men are more private. Not always, but typically. And I do think that it helps people, because I was just talking to a client today, and I have chronic autoimmune issues, and she's like, but you look so healthy. And I'm like, here's the deal. And this is what you exude, is that just because you're sick doesn't mean you have to look sick. And you can be sick and going through hard times and still be surviving and thriving simultaneously. It's not this or that. It can be both at the same time. And you're really a living example of that. And that's something that I try to emulate in my life. It's like, okay, I suffer on the daily. I don't talk about my suffering, but I'm more than willing to give my testimony. I'm going to work on living and saying, okay, well, I have chronic Lyme disease and it has all this shit that goes with it, but I can survive and thrive at the same time. And that's what your blog does. It shows people that you are choosing life and that you're sharing your experience of your life in the most vulnerable and open way. And I think it really touches people, and it really encourages people and gives people hope, and you want people to rally around you. I look forward to reading your posts.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I try not to put too many out of there, but I put one today, and it's Elvis' birthday, and combined it, kind of thing. And so in the Elvis thing, people really enjoy that. And but yeah, thank you. And I know everybody, like you said, your dog, your family, everybody has something going on. If they don't have something going on, they're going to. So, we're all, it's just life, we're going to, it's painful sometimes, and it's wonderful. But I wake up and I go, I'm thankful I'm alive. I'm thankful I'm not sick today. I'm not sick today. I feel great. I feel great. And, and I'm able to do the things that I do. I can't believe it. I didn't think, really, when I got that first diagnosis 2 years, on my birthday, I thought I had 3 months to live, because they said, you have pancreatic cancer. And I knew what that was. And they said, the doctor called me. The doctor never calls me. It's like, I thought, oh, I got 3 months left, and then we came back, and I had the different kind of cancer. It's, I'll just say, pancreatic neuroendocrine tumors. And so it's a slower growing cancer, and we had more time, but the pancreatic cancer, it's called carcinoid. It grows fast. And that's when you hear people get that, and then they're like, they're gone in 3 months. You go, what the heck? And I've had people that, guys I play tennis with, a guy I went out and played tennis. I said, hey, I got cancer. And he's like, and I went out and played with him, and he was kind of shocked. And he's like, going, wow. And he said, I had to talk to my counselor, because I was like, and then he told me that his dad had told him he had cancer, and he died 2 weeks later. And so people, I think it affects people a lot of ways, because they've had so many different experiences from it. I mean, we all know someone who's died from it, probably family. I mean, they say 1 in 3 people will get it. So it's just one of the things. I have it, and I wouldn't say I got the lucky cancer, but it's better than the other one. And so I'm grateful, and I'm just like, okay, I'm doing what I have to do, taking this medicine. I'm doing my 3rd treatment of chemo right now. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, I think part of doing it in the cancer, it's a mind trip, because you're going, man, I'll do chemo. And I did get sick, but I think there was a lot of nerves, and I'm like going, now I did it 2 times, and I said, maybe I can do it this time. And I'm not having major side effects. A lot of people do. I don't know why. I'm not normal. My wife said, you're not normal. I used to drink a lot too. And I was like, I go drink, and then I don't drink anymore, but I seemed like I was like, I go drink, get up the next day, go out and play 3 sets of tennis. I do it all over again.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of fucked up that the doctor make you think you had 3 months to live.
Well, that was the first. It wasn't. He didn't say that. That was my thought. He said you had pancreatic. He did say you had pancreatic cancer, and it was the CAT scan, or the PET, whatever they gave me, showed like I had tumors all over my liver, and had a big one on my pancreas, and I had no side effects. The way I was diagnosed, the only reason I knew I had cancer is because I applied for life insurance, and they denied me, and they said, you have tumor markers. And I was like, what? No way, because I'm out playing tennis in the heat, and I didn't have it. I mean, I had some minor things, but no. And so then that was and so when a radiologist looks at my scan, I have to go, no, I got the PNET. It's because everybody going, oh my God, this guy's. It looks. I look at it. I mean, you do a PET scan, it all lights up like a Christmas tree, because they have the colors and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh man, that's not good. And so, but we've received so much help along a lot of family and doctors, and just a whole new world that I never wanted to be part of. But this is the cards that I got, and I'm dealing with it as it comes, and hoping I can live as long as I can. But quality of life is more important actually than length of life, I think. So, so I'm just doing one day at a time, being an Elvis impersonator, talking to you folks on somebody who's interested in me, which is surprising. But yeah.
I think you're having the outlook and the attitude that you have lends itself to wellness, energy, every thought, every word that we utter, we're energetic beings, right? And if you had a negative energy and a pessimistic energy, I don't know, the outcome might be totally different. But I think
absolutely,
you're elevating your energy by what you're doing, how you live your life, and how you think, and I think that makes a huge difference.
I mean, you probably wear that "fuck cancer" T-shirt very proudly, So, props to you.
The animal of the type of cancer is the zebra, and I was getting into zebra. People were giving me zebras. I got zebra clothing. I go when I do the Rolling Stones, I wear a total zebra outfit, kind of thing. But I've kind of actually, I've got some zebra. These are my neighbors gave me zebra Crocs. so it's a zebra, and that means it's a rare disease, is what I have. And so, but yeah, thank y'all. That's very encouraging what y'all are saying. I feel very fortunate.
So going back to the Elvis thing, what's the most fulfilling thing about doing that?
Yeah, and again, I am not a saint. People say, "Oh my God, that's so wonderful what you're doing," and it is. I mean, people just love it. They. I mean, not every time. I mean, there's some people. I have my nights where I'm singing to the guy facing the bar. Kind of. I've had those too, with no crowd, and then you have the crowd, and everybody's into it, and you have those moments. And but I mean, I'm basically doing it. If I'm getting paid pretty well for part-time income, and so I really enjoy the money and working less, making more. Right? That was always the thing that I was really looking for. And this is the and I mean, it's less. I'm not making as much as a lot of people are, but I'm making what I need, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. So I do enjoy doing it, and the aspect, the giving parents a lot. Usually people are there, my parents just love you, and so and they are rewarded, they're excited, and I'm giving joy. And so and I do it whenever I sing, where I'm performing when the crowd reacts and they're enjoying it, I'm hitting the high note, and they're like, oh my God, that's great, we're just having a good time. It is rewarding. It's fun. I love to entertain, whether it's doing Elvis or singing over here, or I mean, I would like to be a stand-up comedian, but I just don't think would be that funny. But I could be funny for a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your teaching days. Why did you become a teacher, and what did you teach, and why did you teach it?
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out too. Why?
I mean, yeah,
I did everything, but I was in ministry. I was in a ministry setting early in the 20s, and that's where I met my wife. And we were ministry minded, wanted to help people. And so, but I wasn't so sure that I wanted to become a pastor of a church and things like that. And so then I began to, and so my dad said, once you get a teaching degree, maybe you're a principal, and there'll be a lot of people you can help like that. And I was on the 10-year college plan, because I finally came, okay, yeah, maybe I'm gonna go back to college. And my wife and I both went back to college, both got our teaching degrees. And really it was the initial desire was to help people. And, but then teaching was tough. It was a tough job. And I taught junior high. I did it for 25 years. I did 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And
oh my God, the hardest years.
It was hard. And every year I was like, I think I mean, aren't you a real estate? Don't you do real estate? Michael?
No, I'm in construction.
Oh, you're in construction. I thought you did real estate. Okay.
I did real estate.
I entertained that. I got my license, and I was like, I'm going to go do something else. But then I got the license, and then I didn't do it. I said, I got a few more years to retire. And there were good years, but the last few years, man, I was like, when you don't like what you're doing, that's the hardest thing to do, man. And so the last few years, and then I was drinking a lot too, and I just had multiple problems the last few years. And so I was really glad when I was able to retire, quit drinking, and then started living retirement and doing part-time, doing this on the side, doing the Elvis, and really able to promote that, being able to do the daytime gigs. And yeah, I was just having a great time. But
what subject did you teach?
I taught language arts and some,
okay.
Yeah. And so, it was teaching writing. That's probably where, I don't know how well my students became writers. We taught a lot of writing, and it was for some kids, they just hate it. And so you were teaching a subject, they didn't volunteer to be in the class, but they had to be there. So you had a lot of, and you had and I always liked the kids that didn't really fit in, kind of thing. And I felt like I was kind of that way. I mean, I did fit in, but I had struggles in school. And so I always noticed the kids that maybe the other teachers didn't like. I said, some reason I liked them because they were a pain in the ass. So
No, no, go ahead. Well, I was just going to ask, did you see yourself out there in those kids, or did you see a Joe Stafford or
I
Cash
think I
Terry?
did. I think I saw when I saw the kids, like the other teachers complain about it. I go, well, he's not that bad. It's like he's going to be on his way, and he's going to have his problems, And so, yeah, I think and there were years that, I mean, there were good years that I had, but teaching is just, I know there's people who just love it and they thrive on it. I I had it was difficult, but if my wife was natural, she was like, oh, this is great. You had to be super organized. I don't know if I'm really super organized, and I had to. I mean, I was always in trouble in school from day one. Why did I become a teacher? That's why I got. Why did you think you're here now? I'm in trouble as a teacher. And he's like, Mr. Harris, why did you say this? Why did you do this? I'm like, oh, I was always sitting in the principal. I was like, I don't know. I thought it was funny. I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry. So going, well, the parents called and it's like it was a lot of I wasn't in trouble all the time, but I was. And I had years that I loved and I had years that I go, oh my God, just shoot me now. But I did. I finished it, and it was again. It was good times, and I look back. I think when I people go, what did you want to grow up to be? I think maybe I wanted to be a tennis coach. I think I want because I like tennis and I play tennis. I think I maybe wanted to be a choir director because I was in choir. Mr. Garms, I was in choir a cappella 3 years, and those are great years from high school. That was probably the thing that kept me sane or kept my parents. It was something that was productive that I really enjoyed. A cappella choir and chamber singers, and people thought I was good at it. So, oh, you like this. And so is again the positive. You follow the things where you get some positive feedback. And so teaching, some the kids like me, some kids didn't like me. And then I got really nervous under evaluations, and I just wasn't. It wasn't natural. That's
You did it for 25 years, though.
25 years.
25 years.
But I had the summers off. Every time I go, wow, summer came, I go, it wasn't that bad.
Oh man! Did any of these students?
No.
Oh, did any of your students in like classrooms say, "Hey, Mr. Harris, we saw you as Elvis"?
Oh yeah. I mean, kids have grown. I've done. I mean, as a DJ, I've done their weddings, and
Wow.
I've done their. I mean, I just did a wedding from a family that I did their. I don't know. They did their 16-year-old party, their anniversary, and then I did their family's wedding. And so there's always things like that. And I did Elvis, and so a lot of the DJing that I do now is I'll DJ and then come out and do an Elvis thing, and they go, oh, that's great, So and I can do both. I mean, I can DJ the music. I enjoy DJing, but I did a lot of DJing. Started off in the junior high dances, high school dances, proms, homecomings, and weddings, and then anniversaries. And so I can still DJ, music, and then I can switch over into the Elvis suit just like that. I can hop in that Elvis suit, it's just that jumpsuit, put it on, and I can be ready in like two, 3 minutes.
It's like a fireman's uniform. You could just jump in.
I mean, usually I go, where do you dress? I go, well, sometimes in the parking lot, man. I was like, that is underwear? No, this is Elvis suit going over. And so, yeah, I mean, you ask me where I play publicly. Like I go to it kind of moves around. I played at a Mexican restaurant for several years called Mesa Rose over here, and then I'm playing at Cat where I'll do a combination Neil Diamond, Elvis, and then mix it up, get people dancing, and then I'm playing at some Caddy Shack. They booked me for like six dates in next year. And then somebody just called for some barbecue place, and he said, "Hey," and then, they met my price, and so I'll go to Gerald, and it looks like I'm on a trailer. I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll give it a shot. He was going to pay my price as long as it doesn't rain." And so I'll come up there. I'll be standing on a trailer doing Elvis, and walk out in the crowd, and I'll bring my bigger system and stuff like that. And so I just kind of go. I kind of follow the universe. The universe provides me with what I want to do, and what I need, and if I'm getting too many gigs, I'm raising my price, you know, kind of thing.
Good for
Good.
you.
Absolutely.
You absolutely, yes. That's how
Yeah.
it should be. You know, I would, since you taught so long, I would imagine in those 25 years that you really bared witness to the evolution of how kids have changed as a result of social media in terms of their interpersonal skills, the way they relate to adults, as in less respect. And I'm sure you saw this evolution from your first year teaching to your 25th year of teaching.
Yeah, you did. I mean, again, I taught in a pretty rough, a low socioeconomic district. We taught in Robson, both of us did. It was a great experience. I enjoyed working there. They were tough kids, you know. You had some tough setting, and so we moved to Round Rock, and we were teaching in Pflugerville. And I was like, kids were coming in. You know, the problems were tardies and stuff like that. And I go, okay, well, that's nothing. You know, we were dealing with. I mean, they had a lot more problems. So I came in here, but then you're talking about, you know, what kind of change was the dynamics of the classroom. You know, again, we were focused on the test. You know, that was one thing, and which I didn't really agree with. We spent a lot of time. We were almost like test administrators, you know, kind of thing, and the other stuff was just to the side. And so, but the social media is, and I got out of it kind of, you know, we were like, the phones came in. Everybody, like sixth graders, you know, I was teaching sixth graders, and they said no phones for sixth graders. Okay. And then the next year you go, all right, they can have their phones. Okay. And so you're going, oh, okay. And so they were changing the rules because they didn't know what to do, you know, how to do it. And then by the time, so we were doing, and by eighth grade, you know, everybody had a phone, and it was like the genie was let out of the bottle, and you were like, the administration didn't know how to handle it. So we were like, nobody can have out their phone, you know? And so, but the kids had their phones, you know, and then they would go to the restroom, you know, I got to go to the restroom. I was like, God, I don't want to be telling you when to go to the restroom, but I know you're going to check your phone, man. So, but yeah, I mean, I have some stories that I won't tell. I mean, it was such kids filming me and sending it to parents, and they kids. So we have a Mr. Harris website. I go, I don't want to know about it. I don't want.
Really?
Yeah, they were filming me and put me on something, and I was like, I don't want to know, because it's not that hard, really. I mean, the kids were, you know, they could just right here. You're looking over here and stuff like that, you know. So I got it. And then that last year, yeah, the phones, you know, yeah, it was, I don't know how they do it, man. At school, they say, hey, we're not going to have phones. The parents are not really going to allow it. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Lisa. Am I?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to pull the phones, somehow we go, the phone is such a great tool, man. It's like, I'm looking at, I mean, I taught writing all these years, and now I go to ChatGPT and I say, all right, write me a 200-word essay like a 10-year-old, and on these things, in 3 seconds, you got it. You know, you go like, so how the heck, why should I, you know, teach a kid? Why should I teach them how to use ChatGPT, man?
It's funny because I was dating this girl, and you know, there were times her kids didn't have their phone, and she was worried. Like after school, I'm like, what the shit? We grew up with no phones. We lived with no damn cell phones, and look, here we are.
We survived. Michael,
Yeah.
my brother and I were just talking about this because we went to Edgemere Elementary.
Yeah.
And sometimes my mom would get involved in out of who knows what. She would forget to pick us up. The school would close, they'd lock the doors, and we were still waiting there. Sometimes, you know, it was like 6 o'clock, and then she'd be all sheepish, like, oh my God. I mean, you know, we were safe. We probably could have walked home.
Yeah.
The place was not that big. But, you know, she forgot to pick us up, and there was no place to call.
Nowhere to call.
We just waited.
No,
No,
not at all.
my daughter early on is like, she had a phone, and I was like, I was going to punish her like for something. I forgot. I'm taking your phone away, because so she was learning to drive at the time, or driving. She was at the doctor, and so she calls from the doctor just to her mother's like, I don't know how to get home. I don't know how, because I don't have GPS. And then
wow.
And my wife immediately was like, she's getting her phone back. We're not doing this. And I'm like, why don't you just make a commercial for Apple iPhone? It's like, it was like, kids have to have a phone. How are they going to get home? And I'm always in the car like, I want a physical map. I'm tired of this GPS. I don't know if it's telling me the right way.
Yeah.
I need to look at something. My wife
And
goes,
and you remembered your friends' phone numbers.
oh, I don't.
I mean, you remember phone numbers. It's now it's like,
I can
oh
barely.
hell, I don't know Lisa's number. I have to look it up.
You know, Lisa, call Lisa.
Oh yeah, exactly. Siri.
Your phone and it calls for you. Oh my gosh. Hey, so how long did you teach in Pflugerville?
I taught, actually, I did 2 years when we first moved here, my wife and I, but we taught at the same school for 14 years. Then we taught in Round Rock, and then I finished 11 years. I was at a really nice school and Westview Middle School. And no, that's for the first one I taught. Kelly Lane Middle School. Sorry, Kelly Lane, if anybody's listening. Kelly Lane. I taught there for 11 years. And I had a good experience there. It was great kids, great staff, everything. Just the last few years, I was kind of.
You were done.
You've
been done. I asked that because my stepdaughter went to Pflugerville schools.
Yeah, where'd she go? Do you know?
I'm not really sure. Her name is CJ Hafner.
Okay. Yeah.
Pflugerville in your class.
Really nice schools, and yeah, I've been out of it there'll be 7 years coming up. So, but I liked Pflugerville. I loved it. I had so many good memories there. Also, I know I hated that I had some negative ones, but it was work, and the kids were great. And then there's sometimes they made you pull your hair out.
I honestly don't know how teachers or administrators do it. My sister's a superintendent.
Okay.
And she's had to have police escort many times, and people go crazy at board meetings and parent. I mean, it's just insane. And she's at a large school. I worry about her safety.
Oh yeah.
I mean, isn't that terrible that teachers sometimes are not safe?
Yeah, really. I mean, you think not really anywhere safe. Speaking of Plainview again, I through Facebook, and I've reconnected with Elvin Simmons. And of course his dad was principal at Highland Elementary, and he was also principal at Estacado, and then they moved away. I don't know if y'all knew the Simmons there, but I've connected with him. He is an assistant superintendent in the Birdville area. And so he comes down, he goes to UT games, and he'll come stay with us. And so we've really reconnected, partly because of Facebook. And so we were like elementary buddies and stuff like that. We just lost track of each other, and we've really reconnected over the years. And he is an administrator, and I think he just loves to come down here. And I'm not talking about if he's talking about schools, we're talking about nothing, just bullshit.
Yeah.
Locker room stuff, it's like he's just like, okay, you can talk about this probably at your job, but you probably love to come shoot the shit with me and forget your work for a couple of days.
Well, but I remember meeting you at the NRR in Frisco.
The
Alofts.
The reunion, right? The
non-reunion NR.
That was great. I think again, that was great because multiple years we're able to come in. That was a lot of fun. I did enjoy that.
Well, you're talking to the guy that did it.
You're the guy who did it. That's right. You invited me to come. That's right. Charlotte Gregg was going, because she tried to get me. She said, I don't know.
Well, with Charlotte,
you to go.
Yeah, both Charlotte and I, we worked it. We're both, but it was her idea. She was someone mentioned that, and she goes, "Let's do it." And I PM'd her. I'm like, "Well, let's do it, really."
Yeah.
So for the first one was in Grapevine at
so much fun.
What was the name of that hotel? Not Grand.
The Gaylord Texan.
The Gaylord Texan. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a nice place.
Yeah,
and they had a really fun funkadelic 70s band there.
Yeah, what was the name? They're good. And they came to Houston. I went and saw them. But they're damn good, and they're very expensive. So because I was in this industry, and I told the lady who was president elected, and I told her you need to get this band out of Dallas, and they looked into it, and then they're like 12 grand or
Yeah.
there were a lot.
Yeah, but they were good. Yeah, we need to do one of those again. Those were so fun to have multiple classes, you know.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, we did it for like 8 years. I thought so. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So, high school, we did, when you had Cash and Stacy and Joe, you guys mentioned a lot of stuff. Is there any other stories you can share about your back in Peawood, Plainview? I mean, tennis, choir.
Well, again, I think Mr. Garms and then Danny White were the choir directors, and I'm surprised I didn't get kicked out of choir. We had some choir trips that we certainly were not angels on those trips, but somehow I really don't know how, because we go in the choir. We went to St. Louis, we went to Tempe, Arizona, and we were partying pretty much on those trips, and it was pretty straight laced. And so I won't mention any names, but they were all in the yearbook. You can guess who there, but we did have a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Mr. Garms is probably gracious enough, probably to let me stay in choir, and the tennis team the same way. I had Coach Barton for a couple of years, and then I had Steve Foster was a coach, and he's a Plainview guy, and they were great years. I mean, that's what I am doing today. I talked about what I did in high school, my senior years, what I'm doing today, man. I'm like playing tennis, singing, and got some chemistry going, figuring out how to keep the chemicals in my body working. And then I had study hall where I'm reading all those books that I didn't read when I was in humanities class, which I did enjoy that. Reading Dante.
You're having a Benjamin Button experience.
That's right.
You were so cool in high school. I was like such a cool guy that I was too nerdy to talk to you.
He was a tennis player, man. They didn't count. They were just
that was a child of the sports program. Here's a shirt. That's all you get.
But you played with the Landrys. They were really big.
The Landrys family. Yeah, I mean, I grew up. They were they would always go to the tournaments, and I was early on. I would ride. They'd had a van. They had 6 kids, and so Sheila,
Scarlett,
Sharon, Teresa. I've seen Teresa. Actually, that's where I have seen Teresa has come out to a show that I did a few years back, and she was right. And she lives somewhere here in Austin. Her kids played college. She played college at A&M, and her kids, I think I also went to A&M, and they were played college. And so Teresa, and then they had Rocky. I didn't know Rocky was a little older. And so the Landry family, we'd go to tournaments. My parents, I would get in the van with them, and we'd go to the tournaments, and then they'd be at all they were a great family. And so I still keep up with them on Facebook. They have occasional posts and stuff like that. I try to think of I can't think of a story right off. I did wish that I had painted the water tower. That's one thing I regret, but I was accused of it. I got accused, Mr. McGee. We know that you painted the water tower, because I guess I was doing so many things. I said, I really didn't do it, but I now go, man, I wish I had of. I don't know why. It's just some kind of even if I got caught, I would have been like, that would have been cool. It's for me. That's how devious I am, but whatever. I got suspended in school for stupid things like mooning, kind of things. I got suspended several times my senior year just for just dumb stuff, kind of thing. But it was a lot of fun, kind of thing. And I grew up, and I made some mistakes, but I wasn't that cool in high school, Lisa. I was insecure, and I was just trying to figure out who I was.
You didn't act insecure. You were cool to me. I remember you.
Well, You
Well, keep
guys,
that memory. Okay.
whenever you're 18, it was still 18 legal to drink, correct?
Yeah, it was actually. That was when
Yeah.
I went to college, and I turned 18 August 30th, and then I think they changed the law on September 1st to 19. So I was legal, but I'd been drinking since I was. We've been
Yeah.
driving. That's what we drove to Nazareth. We drove to the strip.
In the strip.
Yeah, I guess they were. It's not that way anymore, but it seemed like it wasn't a big deal to have a cooler in the back and grab a beer, an open container. I, it didn't. I thought it was okay.
I mean, that's what.
Now you know it's not okay, man.
Yeah, the students of today, that's what they're missing out there in playing because it's a wet county now. It's a wet county now. I mean, they just go right around the 3 blocks and buy. But no, it's the Nazareth trips that or going over the tracks to Miss Helen's or whichever bootlegger, man.
Well, the thing is, you're driving to Nazareth and you're driving back, even if you've had 3 or 4 beers, you're on a road. It's like 40 miles of nothing, man. So that's it. It was really, really easy to learn how to drive in Plainview. I was thinking that
Yes.
right here, you drive out and where we're at, I'm sure in Houston too, it's just like, this is advanced driving, man. This is dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Oh
Well,
my
in high school, I mean, having to go to great lengths to procure alcohol made for some really great stories. And you got it right, Michael. I mean, kids today don't have those stories because they don't have to go through what y'all went through, because I didn't drink in high school. What y'all went through. I was a good girl in high school.
You were boring. Let's just go ahead and say that.
My fault. Alfred and Jerry's fault because they didn't really do shit.
No, I'm kidding, Lisa. I'm kidding. But yeah.
I was totally boring. That's probably why I didn't get invited to parties because they're like, that lame girl is not going to show up.
So licks. You mentioned McBee.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you didn't want to get swats from him, but I did get swats from him, and then yeah, he was a little powerhouse, kind of hit you. I had and Coach Barton again when I was in on the tennis team. I got drunk at and went to a dance. I don't know. I was with Kyle Cooper and I think Marty Weidenbach, and I was sitting in the back seat, and somehow we got really drunk, and I got really drunk. I don't know what happened to them, but I ended up the next night, and I had somehow gone to the dance. I really had too much to drink, and so I got kicked off the tennis team. Coach Barton came to me and he said, "All right, I may have told this story already, but it's a good one." He said, "All right." It was at the end of my freshman year, and he goes, Joe Namath played for Alabama, and he was drinking, and they kicked him off the team, and you're no Joe Namath. Now bend over," and he gave me 3 swats. And coach, he was a tennis player around. Pow, pow. And so you didn't want to get one. He was a short, stout guy, and so I was like, "Oh," but he let me back on my sophomore year. So I guess it probably was good for me. I was appreciated him letting me back on, and I got to be. Even though the tennis team was the stepchild of the sports program in Plainview, I got a letter. And it was a big deal. You got to walk around. Yeah, I have a jacket in tennis. All right, I'm not a.
Someone said McBee was a tennis player as well.
I don't. There was what was the dean that taught driver's ed? Because he was also the tennis coach. I don't know that McBee played, but I bet he probably would have been a good player.
He did. He played tennis.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's why he had that pow. That forehand.
I think he was working. I think he had the Charles Atlas book, man.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a short. What's that Dodgers player? Garvey or Harvey? McBee looked like them. I forgot the baseball player's name. But yeah, he. I never, luckily, not. I never got licks from him, but I did. I was in office one semester. Worked in the office. And I see all these people walk in his office, whap, and a lot of them are just rubbing their eyes.
Yeah, it was something, man. I don't think it goes on that much anymore. I even when I started teaching,
Oh,
No.
there's no SWATs, and I was like, God, and I kind of went on like, well, how am I gonna teach without you had to become their friend, and you had to be stern. Those things were hard, man. You had to be really consistent, and you had you had to make a lot of phone calls. It was, I mean, but the SWATs didn't work for me. So I was like, man, that's a good deal, man. Just get a couple SWATs. Don't call my
Get it
parents.
over with. Yeah, get it
Call
over
my
with.
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over, man.
Yeah. Let me go get my next drink.
Well, maybe I think the hangover I had that night, I didn't really want to go drink again. I'll never drink again.
Yeah.
we have all been, dear Lord, if you just make me feel better, I promise.
That's right.
Oh yeah. I can't do that anymore. That's for damn sure.
No, I got really wasted in Key West one day. I'd never had a rum runner before, and it tasted like a Slurpee. And so, 4 rum runners down, I was hallucinating. And I'm like, okay, I can walk this off. I'm going to walk off the drunk because, if I sweat it out, I'll be all right. So I'm start walking down the street, and I pass this little chapel, and every time I pass in front of the church, oh dear God, please help me, I'd make another loop. I was on this loop and praying in front of this little chapel in Key West. Finally, my friends found me, and they're like, okay, ding dong, just start drinking water. You're dehydrated. And sure enough, I did. And I was sober. I was up at 6 a.m. doing my yoga practice.
There you go.
There you go.
Drunk as all get out.
Well, hey, I just wanted to say this, Bill. You're the reason why. Well, let me back up. We started our podcast with our class of '83, and we had a handful of shows, and then I saw your post of being an Elvis tribute, and I was like, you know what? I call Lisa. It's time to expand. It's time to, you know, just also include other classmates. And I mean, you're the reason why. Thank you. Why we decided like, hey, that's why you were the first one I reached out to. That wasn't a class of '83, and then we got Joe, and as I mentioned, Stacy and Cash. So, and that was like 30 shows ago. So, but yeah,
That's
you're the
great.
reason. Yeah.
And these go on YouTube, is that right?
They go on YouTube, and AT&T finally has a fiber optic, and hope once they distribute that to our houses, we're gonna do live stream.
Okay.
But I just got a shitty internet. I have satellite internet, and it's horrible. And but no, I'm hoping within the next 30, 60 days this is gonna happen, and we're gonna be do live streaming. So
That's cool. Yeah, I've seen several of them, and then I see it's kind of cool with the Plainview thing. Have you have a desire to expand it?
yeah, we did. We had some of the Odessa from the 78, 79 football game,
Okay, yeah.
Mojo
Yeah.
and Plainview players, and I've actually talked to the quarterback for Odessa. I said, dude, come get some of your classmates. Come on. So I got to
Yeah.
follow up with him. So yes, and then I've talked to another guy that I saw on Facebook, just someone I used to work with, and here in Houston, he lives in the Cypress area. I'm like, you boys want to come on the show and just talk about high school? So yes, that's something that I want to also do, or at least and I do, is expand not just Plainview, but to other schools.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So
Have you-
this is why I spend a lot of money, not trademarking the Go Knuckle Talk with Flo. So
That's right. Yeah.
If you own a business and you'd like to sponsor us, it would be really awesome.
Okay. My wife is a little concerned.
Great
Like,
way to promote, people's business. So
yeah.
have you had people ask you about the goat knuckle, like the slang of it, kind of thing? Have y'all? Because my wife looked at that. Did you read?
Yeah, I know. It's the opposite of camel.
Yeah, it's a male camel toe, right?
Yeah, yeah. But this is why we did. It's only for Plainview folks right now.
It
So
didn't mean that in Plainview.
no.
Oh,
Plus, it was easy, really easy for me to trademark it because it's no, we're gonna have a golden knuckle as a company name or logo.
Oh, that's it. You got the hats and everything. It's cool, man.
Got the shirts, which I'm selling. I
Hey,
got to make up some of that money.
yeah, Midland, Odessa. Have you watched that Billy Bob thing? It's like
and
Landman, because it's all in
Yeah,
Midland and Odessa and the football. And I was thinking, I told my wife when we went to see, that sophomore year, I probably was more gung ho about the football team, and then the choir we were involved in. So we went to we drove to that game in Odessa for the quarterfinals or whatever, and we're like, there were signs all the way to there, and we had all the cars going like in a convoy. But then we got to there, and it was like, oh my God, it's just a sea of black. We got these people. We thought we had spirit. These people are crazy. It was like it was kind of intimidating when you saw that black. It was just the whole thing was black, and I was like, oh my God.
And I understand it was cold. I went to the game too. It was cold as hell.
Yeah,
It was
I
freezing.
don't remember that. But he probably. I
Yeah.
remember that.
So
It was a long day too.
Have you finished watching Landman?
I've been watching. We've been watching it ever since. I love Billy Bob Thornton.
Well,
There may be a couple shows I didn't see, but yeah, we watch it. Billy Bob Thornton is funny as he can be, man. He's great.
Oh yeah, he is.
I love taters. Taters are good. Sling blade.
Yep, sling blade. Well, you have any other questions, Lisa? What about the one question you always ask? We started asking everybody at the end.
Knowing, with your current knowledge, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self?
I thinking about that, I go, I don't think my younger self would listen to my older self. So I don't, not to say the fatalism kind of thing. I just, but if I would tell them, I would tell them, hey, go into engineering. Don't teach. Sounds like a good idea. Do something else. You'll have fun, but I think it's a tough job, and you can make more money doing something else. But it's been good. The places I've gone got me where. What would I tell? I would tell my younger self, I don't know what I tell because I know my younger self wouldn't listen to me. I just don't know.
That's funny. That's probably same
my
here.
younger self was pretty I'm just starting to get to where I'll listen to other people's suggestions, at this age, like, okay. And I'm seem to become more reasonable as I get older. So, but I was a mess somehow. Somehow I made it to this point. I'm really grateful, and I guess I have to think about all the people who helped me along the way, guiding me, and just many people. And Plainview is a great start. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and so and there's not small towns like that anymore, or not that I'm not living in a small town, although we have a community like here, but it's just different.
Well, you must not be too big of a mess because you have a wonderful wife who's loved you all these years.
Well, I'll give that. I'm better because I've been married to her. I would give her a lot of credit. She's a good woman, and I feel very fortunate. We'll come up on 36 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's been very, and again, I feel very fortunate, kind of thing, because it could have. There were times that you could say, "Hey, this ain't gonna work," but we work through it. So then more good thing. And I tell my younger self, marry the same woman.
That's a smart answer. That is a smart answer. It's such a joy to have this conversation with you. I can't thank you enough. And, I love your authenticity, your candidness, your attitude and your spirit. It's so inspiring. And I think Michael and I need to come see you perform.
Oh, well, sometime it'll work out. I need to come to one of your yoga classes. And Michael, I guess I need you to help me build something.
Well, I manage people. I don't. These
Oh,
hands
yeah.
are very, very soft. They're soft hands.
Yeah, well, you put all the plans together. Okay. But
So,
yeah, hopefully we can have another reunion that I can make it to. And I'm considering going to the one in July, but I just kind of see what my schedule is. I'm trying to get out of Texas in the hot months. That's one of my goals. Like in Texas, I've got a wedding in Ohio, August 2nd, and I've got family in Michigan. Go to there, and then I go to Colorado. I got family there, and then go to Idaho. That's my goal. Get out of Texas in August, man. I can't take it anymore. But that's my goal. But yeah, thank y'all so much for having me. Y'all are wonderful. More power to you on your show and everything, Lisa. It's been good to know y'all. Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it.
well, live long and prosper, man. Live long and prosper, brother.
There you go.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll see you around. And I mentioned I have a friend that lives in Pflugerville that I'll go occasionally see.
Yeah.
And I told you that maybe me and her will surprise you. We'll be at one of your shows. Just look for the guy with the black cowboy hat.
Well, I'll look for him. I'll try to see if I can see you out there. All right.
There you go.
That's Michael Flores. I know him.
I'll throw my underwear at you.
Whitey's on the stage.
All right, Bill. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Y'all have a good one.
So much. Thank you, Bill.
One of you guys have to exit.
Okay.
I'm exiting him.
Okay.
All right.
All right, brother. That was wow. I'm glad that was I'm glad this is the show that kicked off 2025.
For sure.
He's a good man. Spirit, like I said, Spirit's a very good man, and definitely told him when I spoke with him a few days ago that I want to come watch him play.
I do too.
Or perform. Yeah. So
It's not that far for either one of us. That's what I'm saying. We need to get a group of Plainviewans. I'm sure Jeannie would meet us.
Yeah, well, we'll do. There's several Plainview people, not just class of '83, but as you mentioned, there's Andy, there's Alex, there's Jill Bradley, of course, Fanchon. Walt is. I don't know if Walt Taylor's in Austin or Dallas, but I mean, there's several high school Plainview people there.
Whenever he does a public show.
Yeah.
Like at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like that.
Rosanna Barton's there, of course. Tommy Love.
Yeah.
So Chris McKinnis. So there's several people.
That would be so much fun.
Absolutely. So
classmates that live in that area, we're putting it out there.
There you go, guys. So
go see our friend Bill.
Our next show is gonna be an amazing one because we're gonna have the '80s, some of the ladies basketball players from the '87 girls state championship, and with Coach Harston, and she's going to be on the show as well. So you guys stay tuned for it. Cool. All right, Miss Lisa.
It's nice to see you and
absolutely
here with a great show, and thank you so much, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yes. Peace and love. Peace and love.